Hi, and welcome to today's science lesson, number 3. You can find this lesson on page 502 and 503 in Kaplan's GED textbook. Today we're going to discuss the scientific method, and this is a method used by all scientists when they discover something, prove something, test something. How do we know that it's right? So what exactly is the scientific method? Well, it's something that scientists came up with when they investigated observable facts and occurrences. Maybe something's new, something's different, and then they acquire new knowledge. There are 5 steps to the scientific method, and we're going to discuss all 5. I'm also going to give you an example of the scientific method in real time, how it was used. Step number 1 is observe a phenomena. This is something that's unique or different. In 1928, and I know that's not recent, but there was a man, Dr. Alexander Fleming. He discovered penicillin. Well, if you look at this slide, you'll see what's called a petri dish, a little glass dish. He had mold, and he observed something different. So if you go back to that slide, you'll see that there was mold, but there were different forms of it. Some were circles, and some were long striated strips. So he saw that there was mold growing, but where he had put it originally, none was growing around it. And this was something new. Was something eating the mold? Was the mold eating something else? So he had to research, figure out what was going on. This was an observable difference. So continuing with the scientific method, first he observed. Now, step 2, he had to collect data. The fungus was growing. Bacteria colonies were not around where they had been. Fungus near the bacteria looked normal. So he's collecting data, he's asking questions, and he needs to prove or find more information. And that's collecting data. Step 3, or the third part of the scientific method, is a hypothesis, which is actually an educated guess. What's happening? Why is this happening? So I need to continue to research to find answers to these questions. I think I might know, but I'm not sure. So I continue my research, I continue asking questions, and the goal is to prove what I think is happening. Hypothesis. Step 4 is the actual testing, and you test the hypothesis through experiments. So Fleming grew more fungus, had more bacteria, different strands of bacteria. He then identified a product. He produced a bacteria-killing liquid, and he was testing what he thought he was true. Certain kinds of bacteria or mold formed a film or ate other kinds of bacteria, and he realized that this was a good thing after many years of testing. Ultimately, he found this antibiotic, antibacteria, against the bacteria. He named it penicillin, but this was after testing, step 4. Step 5 is drawing your conclusion. So after testing observable facts, you now have answers to the questions and proof. So after the proof, now you can conclude what he knew was true. Proof that this mold or bacteria killed different kinds of bacteria. So he drew a conclusion, antibacteria, He proved his guess. He had all the information. Conclusion. So let's review one more time the scientific method. You observe something. You collect data. You form a hypothesis, an educated guess. You then experiment, and after the experimentation, you now have proof, and you can conclude the results. Now, a little more information that's critical to the scientific method. These are called variables, and there are two of them. You have your dependent variable and your independent variable, and I'm going to explain the differences. So let me discuss the dependent variable. In Dr. Fleming's case, the dependent variable was mold. He consistently had mold. So you need something all the time that's observable. That's your dependent variable. That doesn't change. The independent variable, though, does change. And that's the factor or factors that affect the constant. So independent variables could be, not limited to, but just to give you an examples, heat, light, or different moles. And they will affect your dependent variable. So when you put other things into the original, your factors will change. And that's what you're testing for. What is consistent? What makes things change? You have your dependent variable and your independent variable. So now it's time for your assignment. Read page 502, and it will re-explain the scientific method. It will also discuss the dependent variable and the independent variable. Answer the questions on 503. But if you have a specific question, or any question, email me at jherring@greenbeltmd.gov. jherring@greenbeltmd.gov. See you next time.